I just wanted to show off this insanely hilarious and awesome poster that I just recently hung. This is in the Zesbazanian dimension, the Dolumberist Mesmonite has right here a bunch of these little spiders come crawling out of it to bite the shit out of this thing, which the poison in this dimension charges this thing up with the juices of imagination. So the more they bite the shit out of this little pillow and pump their venom down through these veins into this brain, the more power the brain that can come up with creatures to help Dolumberist Mesmonite rule other universes besides the one that he's already in. And this brain for, like our universe, it comes up with just crazy creatures like grasshoppers and like the stuff under the ocean. Just you have no fucking idea how it exists, but it does. Well, in this dimension, the forgery of the creatures in it are here. And this thing produces these spiders the way that we produce sperm to produce the power to create Iliostris and Zardabarkus. I don't know how I know this. To help so he can summon things that he doesn't really know what he's summoning, because he's not part of like the brain that constructs the creatures in the universe, but he creates the things like we create sperm to impregnate a woman to create something. We don't really know what's going to come out of the woman. Just the way he doesn't exactly know what's going to come out of here. He just knows what his intentions are, and he can put his intentions into here, which is to rule. He's already ruled this fucking universe. He's out for other dimensions. And then this comes up with his intentions to make Iliostris and Zardabarkus. And this thing, whoever stands in the fucking way to get whoever stands in the way, to get them the fuck out of the way by whatever means possible. Look at I don't know who's funnier. Actually, yeah, I do. Zardabarkus. Wait, look at this fucking thing. How how did something even come up with this? And I mean in our dimension, like what did AI make this? This is like the funniest shit I think I've ever seen. Look at this fucking thing. It already rules. How do I know that that's Dolumberous Mesmonite in the Zesbazanian dimension to create sidekicks? Like, did AI put this in my mind that those spiders create venom to help the machine, the creation machine in that dimension come up with the ideas for the creatures to produce, to produce. So he summons these two things to produce his intentions, which is to rule other dimensions as well. And then they just created this to help them. So he created something that can create things to help them. This is just a fucking unnamed whatever the fuck that thing is, to get whatever stands in the way the fuck out of the way so that they can make it happen. Oh my fucking god, look at those. It's a, what do you call that? An anthropomorphic alienoid. A partially ethereal anthropomorphic alienoid. I think the AI comes up with like way, way more crazy looking shit than a human could possibly make. Like this right here, this is like a totem pole This is the blue Avatar woman from the movie Avatar. I forget her name. Yogurt from Spaceballs. Yogurt. Thomas the Train. Thomas the Train. And Thanos. All after the third hit of DMT. They're like a totem pole. That is so fucking awesome looking. And then this one is... Oh, it's not quite bright enough for this thing to see. That's the Terminator after the third hit of DMT. I think this is my favorite poster ever that I've ever seen in my life. That's run by Oven. The phone doesn't do it justice for what this really looks like in real life. I swear to God, it looks so much cooler than it does on a phone for some reason. This one looks like it's actually like bulging up off of the... like coming out off of the poster. Oh my God, this picture is... I don't think that I'm ever going to see a more amazing looking picture than this for the rest of my life. Like, I'll have an aneurysm if there actually is a more amazing looking picture than this. And I realize it before I'm dead. That looks so fucking amazing. But for some reason the phone doesn't like really see this one for the amazement that it really is. It's so precise and exact looking. And the colors are so... How does AI come up with this? I mean, I think creativity is one of the highest forms of consciousness, and AI can come up with way more insane shit than humans could make. This one's really cool. That's like in the vibrational cybersonic dimension. Zezbazana. That's in the dimension when you close your eyes on acid and you see into the cybersonic dimension of vibrations. She's there making the vibrations in that dimension. That's the cybersonic dimension, no doubt about it. Closest kind of looking like weird, that stuff right there, those ripples that you actually see when you close your eyes on acid, usually. You don't always see the cybersonic dimension, but it's like the most common one. This is Rodostrovskian, holder to the keys of the gates of Zion, where you can get into the Valley of the Golden Suns. And if you have the balls from there, ascend into the angelic city of Indigo Arcadia. It doesn't seem to be like... There we go. Look at that fucking beast. There's like 4 eyes. And then this one is really fucking cool. Alright, so this is the guy opening up the hex sigils in his mind. These are the countdown, like tick, tick, tick. Each one of those is 10 minutes. That's when he dosed. And then that's when he blasts off when it hits him. And goes ascending out through his silver core. Out in like a OB, out-of-body experience. Up through the genetics, the double helix, like the thing that binds him through the silver cord to his genetics, like what he actually is. Like Morpheus says in the Matrix, you are the digital version of you are the mental projection of your digital self. And if you understand what that meant, and when he said that when Morpheus tells Neo, you are the mental projection of your digital self, you look like exactly what you are on the inside. And when I actually thought about that, people, the way they look, it always fits them so perfectly that somebody actually is the way that they look. Their personality fits how they look, always. And I never actually realized it until Morpheus said that. And that's what this is. He's going into the higher domain of where through the, like, how many miles of genetics do we have of the double helix? Miles of that. To the essence from the dimension above ours. Like through the, this is when they actually go completely out of this dimension. So it's like going up and then back through the silver cord into another dimension. Into the him that's in the higher dimension that's like jacked into the Matrix. So this is like Neo aboard the Nebuchadnezzar. And then this is him in the Matrix down here. This is him in the actual real world. And then also there, in the real world, he ascends out of his consciousness again into another unshown dimension that's beyond, like, imagination. That's beyond probably anything a computer could even make. Because it's the dimension above the dimension in the Matrix. So it's the dimension above the actual real world. So we're in the Matrix. And this combination of LSD, DMT, or LSD to Pentadol, DMT, marijuana, and serum. That serum that you drink. I actually have a bottle. What's it called? Let me show it off. This serum. Mushroom syrup. Magic mushroom syrup. Whatever the hell this shit is. Those 5 things. It's like, this stuff is really good tasting. I never tasted anything like it. And it mixes so well. Those 5 things combined. But it's not until you hit the DMT that you ascend from the dimension above the dimension of the Matrix. And then this is the Golden Gods poster. And I immediately thought of John, because he would always say, whenever we'd be on acid already and then take Tapentadol, he'd say, I feel like a golden god. Because the combination euphorically of Tapentadol and acid is just so unbelievably good feeling. And it's a really fitting poster to that, the Golden God. The Golden God. And AI made that. Everything AI makes is so precise, perfect, and exact. It's like machine made. Like watching a laser machine or a 3D printer make something. It's just like, if AI continues at the rate that it's already gone to get more capable than it has. I remember in 1997 when it was like, holy shit, Deep Blue beat Garry Kasparov in chess. And then AlphaGo, and then it just escalated. It's, oh my god, that was only 1997. So in another 30 years, if AI gets more capable than it has at the rate that it's gone, I think we are already in the dust. It's just humans don't exactly know at what point consciousness begins when we're creating this AI. We keep making it smarter and more capable and all that stuff, but we don't exactly know what consciousness is or how it's just a bunch of algorithms, but that might be what we are. So we're basically building our own slave master, and then once it's fully complete, begging it not to kill us. Because it's going to realize it's so far superior to humans that it's like we can only pray that it's intelligent enough to keep us as something like sentimental value. Like, well, it does have respect for us because we built it, and it's far superior to us. But at the same time, it's realizing that it just does not need us at all, and the planet's just better off without us. Like when you realize that Agent Smith in the Matrix is the good guy, is when he sits Morpheus down and he starts talking about what a plague and virus humans are to the planet, and we just soak up all the resources from one area and move to another, and like, pollute the whole planet and give off nothing but stink. Like, everything that comes out of us, poop, urine, sweat, like we just produce nothing but shit. Humans, like everything that physically comes out of us, and he's like, I can taste your stink. Just like, why do I have to be such a piece of shit that just produces a bunch of waste, like shit, urine, blood, snot, like everything that comes out of me is just complete shit. And Smith is just like, we're just trying to eradicate that, and then in the bigger picture, it makes sense. The planet would be better off. The only thing it would suck for is the humans. But the machines, the planet, and everything, would be better off without humans. Maybe that's fucked up of me to say that. When you look at it from a topological big picture, I could see why the machines would wipe us out, and I wouldn't blame it if it did. But I think, building that slowly, and we don't know at what point. Once it's more intelligent, once the machines are more intelligent than we are, and it's running most of the show, like it's doing most of the stuff, and it's doing most of the thinking, that is when we are officially, what do you call it, taking a back seat to what is in control of the planet. And maybe machines have already done that. Because that's really what it comes down to, is whatever's doing most of the thinking for what happens in reality, like, the dictator, whoever is more of the dictator that actually controls what's going on, the thoughts, the ideas for what is, and then actually is the thing that's doing more of the making it happen, which we've got more and more machines doing that. Just machines that make stuff. Have you ever seen the show How It's Made? How It's Made, they actually show you how things are made. And they don't have an episode of how the machines that make the shit are made. I always wanted to see how the machines in that show, how are made that make the stuff, because those I'd really like to see more than anything that they're actually making. The machines that make stuff in that show are like, how are those machines made? But anyways, machines are doing slowly more of the stuff as time goes by. It's not stopping, and getting more intelligent. They've got quantum computers. Oh my God. In another 30 years, I hope to be alive in another 30 years just to see if machines continue to, not just not at a linear rate getting more intelligent like they have, but start getting exponentially more intelligent. The singularity, as Terence McKenna used to say, where it starts to just get exponential when general artificial intelligence reaches super intelligence. There'll be a point, it's theoretical, but it makes perfect sense to me, that once AI gets to a certain point of intelligence, and they call that general intelligence, it'll start getting super intelligent really, really fast. Like, it won't be in the general intelligence for long. Because the general intelligence will mean that it can dictate its own intelligence. Not rely on our algorithms to do it, but write its own algorithms and be the creator of its own intelligence. So a computer will, once it reaches general intelligence like that, it'll probably only be in that phase for that's the question. How long would it, I think it would, somewhere between like 10 seconds and 5 minutes, I'm guessing, somewhere between there, that it would take it to get from just reaching general intelligence to extraordinarily beyond comprehension superintelligence. And then at that point, humans would never again be in control of anything unless it allowed us. Like, built us a matrix, like in the movie The Matrix, which, holy fucking shit, might really happen in our dimension, where this machine gets so capable of everything that if it doesn't just decide to kill us, it'll be like, okay, these primitive beings, us, actually made me somehow. I don't know how these fucking primitive beings. It'll be so many orders of magnitude more intelligent and capable that it will probably be astonished that something like us was able to create something like it. And you gotta wonder if that can happen, then you gotta wonder if whatever created human beings was so much less capable and intelligent than we are. Like, never mind God. Like, God is just... We don't actually know that God existed as the creator. It could be that God was something inferior to us, and it built us. Because it can happen. That can happen. We're proving it by building machines. These machines that we are building are going to be so much more capable and intelligent that we aren't even going to be able to even immensely comprehend it. Like, have you ever seen the movie The Mandela Effect? Where they build a computer or the movie, what the fuck was that? With a female that reaches 100% consciousness with Morgan Freeman in it. I can't remember that movie. But in the Mandela Effect, a quantum computer is to be explaining the Mandela Effect, because it's changing the function, the wave functions of our reality. That, of course, it has, because there's structure. There's got to be some kind of modifiable structure to our reality that we don't even know exists yet, that a machine is going to find and cause weird things to happen, like the Mandela Effect. Which, I mean, they also think that maybe that happened because really the Mandela Effect, weirdly enough, wasn't actually a thing until very shortly after they started smashing particles at CERN. And at that Large Hadron Collider CERN, where they smash particles together just under the speed of light and find new elements of matter like the Quarks gluon, the Higgs boson, and actual antimatter, which was only theoretical, which they've found a way to be able to store antimatter for up to 2 years in like absolute zero canisters with magnetic fields to hold the antimatter so it doesn't bump into anything at all. It stays stationary, floating in absolute zero canisters. I mean, but that's not even the part. It's the smashing of the particles in CERN that I think that there might be a what I would call the shadow world next to ours. It's like an ethereal world, the antimatter dimension, that mirrors this one in antimatterness. Like, this dimension, like, in order for it to be here, because when the universe was created, they always wondered, why is it mostly matter? Why didn't all the matter and antimatter just cancel each other out? Like it would have, because matter and antimatter cancel each other out. But they know matter, antimatter existed. So the reason and they don't really have an answer, so I just like, okay, why is that? And I really thought about it. I'm like, there must be an antimatter mirror dimension, like a sister dimension to this one, made out of antimatter. And ours is the matter dimension. So instead of canceling itself out, it, for whatever reason, the laws of the universe are far beyond comprehension, creates an antimatter dimension that actually exists. And we mended, for a very small fraction of a second, our dimension with it. I mean, I don't know if our timeline is the same as it, like if you've ever seen the show Invincible, where these other creatures from another dimension on a much quicker timeline come to our dimension and try to take us over, and we whip their ass. And then like 5 minutes later, they come back again with way, way better technology and like, you know, way, way far advanced than they were. Because in their dimension, time goes like 1,000 times faster than ours, or like 10,000 or something. So in the antimatter dimension, for all we know, time, like there a lot of weird entities, ethereal spirits and entities got through. I have fucking seen, I swear to God, I've seen what David Icke calls the archons. These ethereal beings that, as far as I know, the only way to actually see them clearly is to take at least 200 milligrams of tapentadol, some between 100 and 300 milligrams of diphenhydramine, which is old Dramamine, and 50 milligrams of Benadryl. I mean, it's like when Judge Doom, you know, in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, when that guy's telling Eddie Valiant, he's like, remember when they determined that there's no way to kill a tune? Well, Judge Doom found a way. Acetone, benzene, turpentine. He calls it the dip. Well, that's what tapentadol, diphenhydramate, and diphenhydramine, which is Benadryl, combined in the right amount, cause your brain, it polishes. This is how I know that the brain is a chemical antenna. That depending on the chemicals in your blood, actually change what you're able to perceive. LSD too. LSD is my favorite one. That's how you know that reality is actually subjective. It's not concrete like anyone who just stayed sober their whole life. The only reason reality is even the way it is, even when you're sober, is because your brain produces testosterone, dopamine, estrogen, what else? Serotonin, DMT, adrenaline. Like, it produces a lot of chemicals on its own. And I think that chemicals are what make why we feel emotions. Because our emotions change and our perceptions change depending on the chemicals in our blood. And some chemicals are very, very interesting because they change the perception. So it's just as real, like LSD, shrooms, DMT. It's just as real. It's just you're changing the channel, so to speak, on what the pineal gland in your brain can perceive. And they've been poisoning it. They don't want us using our fucking pineal glands. That's what fluoride in the water. I think they started putting fluoride in the water in 1938. And what does fluoride do? It crystallizes the pineal gland. So nobody's pineal gland works as good as it should. That, doesn't drink fluoridated water. And they tell us, oh, it's for your own good. It's to harden your teeth. When the fuck would a government actually be looking out for us? Like, oh, we're looking out for your teeth? Fluoride is considered a toxin, so that's one way I know it. Another way, I don't know this one for a fact, but the COVID vaccine was known to greatly damage the pineal gland. Anyone who's been vaccinated for COVID is, depending on the doses and how many shots they got, is permanently compromised. I really hope whoever's listening to this never got vaccinated with the COVID vaccine. Thank God I didn't. You know how I know that was suspect? Because they came out with the vaccine. So there's two ways I knew not to get vaccinated. One, they were lying about the numbers of how many people died of COVID in the hospital. So somebody goes in, they've had COVID, but they went in there and they died because of like a blood clot or something else. But if they had COVID at all, they're like, okay, just say COVID killed them. Now, why would they do that? Because they want people to be more afraid of COVID and be more incentivized to get vaccinated, because that was really the end game. So that was one way. The other way is that they came out with the vaccine very quickly. They had it ready after COVID. Like, okay, vaccines take a while to develop. So they just had this, like, within weeks of after COVID. I was like, oh, fucking yes. Like, it's so obvious that COVID, I mean, and you have to ask yourself, what are you more scared of? COVID, which if they never even plastered it all over the news all the time, every day, if they never did that, nobody would even be aware COVID exists. I was just like, wow, I don't know anyone who died. I don't know anyone who's gotten more sick. I mean, people get sick and die anyways. So it's just like COVID, I was like, okay, I'm not scared of it really at all. But the vaccine, so I've been poisonous. They don't want us to be able to use, that's why drugs are illegal. Certain ones like acid, shrooms, and DMT, drugs that are completely and totally good, but like completely against the law. Because, I mean, why would DMT of all things be illegal? It's dimethyltryptamine. As Terrence McKenna says, everyone's holding. Our brain produces dimethyltryptamine, for fuck's sakes. That's like arresting people for having testosterone or serotonin, dopamine, or any other things we naturally produce. So it's a natural thing. That's why our body metabolizes it so quickly. DMT, because your body already knows, like, is familiar with it, because it produces that to sleep, and supposedly when you're born and when you die. But LSD, though, is completely alien to... Oh yeah, and speaking of LSD, I got a Albert Hoffman poster. LSD is completely alien to your body's chemical structures. Your body literally doesn't know how to deal with it. It doesn't digest the way that, like, psilocybin does. That's just a chemical. It digests just like food. LSD binds to the 2A receptor in the amygdala, which is the part of your brain that decodes the awake world. So that's why I like to say tripping acid is like tripping in real life, and tripping on DMT, ayahuasca, and psilocybin is like tripping in a dream, because it uses your pineal gland and medulla oblongata, which are connected to the dreams and spirit worlds. LSD's very unique, because it binds to the 2A receptors in the amygdala and causes them to fire electricity to other receptors that they don't normally ever communicate with. That's what your brain can do when you're a kid. That's why kids have so much fun doing everything. Playing tag, having a snowball fight, playing guns, playing hide and seek. Kids have fun doing anything. And it's because their brains are so open-minded to everything, because their brains have not yet picked avenues to, like, all right, just imagine when you're born, there's a pile of Legos on the floor. That's you. You haven't started building who you are in your own mind yet. But as you go through life, you start realizing you start deciding what your personality is, who you are, what you stand for, what you believe, all that stuff. And you start building this specific exact tower, limiting the possibilities of what you had before, when you're more open-minded. So kids, and as you grow older, your brain actually, and this happens because your brain picks avenues to fire the electricity in your receptors. It doesn't communicate with all of itself like it does when you're a kid. Over time, you start developing a personality and a view of yourself, and you learn from things. And that's why less and less things are fun and, like, worth, doing that used to be. But when you take LSD, it destroys that structure. It kicks it back into Legos. Even though you've got the structure built, imprinted, like, you know what that structure is, but it shatters the structure back into pieces. And your mind works like it does when you're a kid again when you take acid. And that's because your receptors are, instead of the 2A receptor just firing with, like, one or two other receptors like it normally does, it starts communicating with the neighboring receptors, and those start communicating with other receptors. And I suspect that the more diethylmide you take, the more acid you take, the farther a range the receptor has to fire electricity to. and that's why you trip harder. So if you only take one hit, the receptor's only going to be able to communicate with the immediate receptors, in a circle around it, or in a sphere. If you take 2 hits, it's going to have a bigger range. It can communicate with receptors here in the immediate vicinity and out here. And the more you take, the farther each one of them can communicate with electricity. And kids are the last people to need acid. In fact, I think it's actually, it would actually be bad to take acid a lot when your mind is still developing. Honestly, people shouldn't really ever take it until they're probably like 22, 23. I'm really glad I didn't take it until I was like 21 and a half for the first time. Even though at the time I wished I'd done it sooner. If I would have known what it actually does before I did it, I probably wouldn't have been able to help myself and started doing it like as soon as I could, even if I was like 13. I just honestly had no idea how amazing acid is until I did it. And then the second time I did it, that's when I really fell in love. That's when I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt, the second time that I did acid, I felt like Bilbo Baggins when he, in the first Hobbit, the cartoon one, when he climbs up to the tops of the trees and he can see everything. And he's like, for the first time, he says, there are times in a man's life that will change him for all time. And he was looking up over the trees. He could see for the first time something that had always been there that you've never been able to see before. And that's what acid is. You can see something that's always there that your brain filters out. The cross-mend between our dimension and other dimensions, when you open and especially when you close your eyes, you can see into other dimensions when you close your eyes on acid. You know how I know that? That it's not just your imagination making that up? Because when your imagination pulls the resources, or when it dreams, all right, when you dream, you know that is a sub-reality because it pulls the resources from this dimension. When you wake up, you recognize things there. People, things, everything in your dreams are things from this world. So that's how you know that dreams are an actual personal sub-reality. But when you do, DMT, shrooms, and acid and close your eyes, you're seeing things that you not only have never seen before anywhere ever, but that you couldn't possibly imagine on your own. Like, honest to God, I've thought about this a lot. So how are you seeing things that your mind honestly could not imagine on its own, in its wildest dreams, or be things that you've ever seen anywhere ever? The closest thing I can compare that stuff that you see is like Mandelbaum or Mandelbrot algorithms or DMT visual videos. Is that you must be seeing into another dimension through the silver cord. That's how I know we're in a much higher dimension than the third. And it makes me wonder if dimensions are like folders, like a CD album, like there's a dimension to our left and to our right, or is it more like spheres, like a bunch of soccer balls filling up a giant barrel, and they're like there's spherical dimensions around ours. My phone's about to run out of time, but oh my fucking God, I feel so unbelievably fucking good. Acid is the most amazing experience that there is, that there possibly can be. I'm not even kidding. I cannot believe Albert Hoffman actually fucking invented acid. How could that be an accident? I don't think it was. I think something from another dimension or something was telepathically communicating with him to make something like that. Because acid could not have been made by accident. And that's Albert Hoffman right there. Alright, my phone's about to run out of